and Ryder tearfully celebrated with his father after the match. Then Ryder's dad tried to put his hat on Zach, and Zach was not having any of that.
Aggressively throws it down.
Yes, but you know they had words after.
It was an entertaining segment.
I guess, but you have the tag team champions, and you have these other people vying for the tag team champions, and they're all getting their ass kicked by these geriatrics. They didn't even put up a struggle.
They didn't.
And yeah, at least they're not insulting our intelligence by trying to get us to believe that Ambrose can win.
Nope, this is I want to get my ass beat so bad you're going to respect me.
Yeah, Sting officially retired, never to wrestle again.
Yep, very final match. Never see Sting wrestle again, so it's up that moment. And at one point, there was a clip of him saying, "Undertaker's my bitch." There was a moment he told Bray Wyatt, he's like, "Oh, The Rock knows who you are. You're the eater of worlds, but, you know, from my point of view, it looks like you're the eater of Hot Pockets." Flair took a bump in a woman's match, because what would it be a Ric Flair moment without him taking a bump in some way?
Did he bleed?
He didn't bleed. That would have been funny if he was bleeding. A match he's not even in.
WrestleMania 32. We are in Dallas, Texas. Some girl group sang America the Beautiful. Sounded like the winners of a high school talent show. Then they did a WrestleMania hype video. They get less and less inspiring. Like, I remember when they started, they were all epic.
Yeah.
Cole, JBL, Byron Saxon are on commentary. They also had a Mexican, German, and Japanese commentary team. And we start off with the Intercontinental title ladder match. Our contestants in order of appearance were Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Sami Stupid Zayn, Stardust, Sin Cara, Zack Ryder, and the champion Kevin Owens, who by far had the loudest entrance pop. And I thought it was kind of funny how it all started. Like, everyone bailed to the floor to grab a ladder except for Owens. And then Owens just kicked everyone back to the floor when they were trying to get back in the ring with the ladders.
Yeah.
Owens and Zayn had an intense moment, of course. Zayn had a spot where he jumped on the floor while everyone else waited to catch him. So did Sin Cara. Ziggler did a shitty Sweet Chin music. Yeah, this is around the time he does Sweet Chin music very poorly. I hate how he stomps and tunes out the band. It's so stiff, and I don't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it right.
Michaels, you can see, he's tuning out the band for one last shot. Ziggler just does it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either.
Stardust had a polka dot ladder, an homage to Dusty, who has passed away. And then Miz ended up giving Stardust a skull-crushing finale on it, and then Owens tossed it out of the ring. So there goes that ladder. And Owens hit Sami with a frog splash on a ladder. Miz got hit with a pop-up powerbomb. Zack Ryder hit him with the El Bro drop off the top of the ladder. It's a cute little Michael Cole name. And Owens ended up snatching Ziggler off a ladder, hit a powerbomb. And Cody hit Owens with a crossroad, which he called the Queen's Crossbow now. And he and Sin Cara had the ladder bridge on the floor spot. So they're done. Sin Cara climbed the ladder. He was going to do something. Well, he had Cody lying on the ladder bridge, but then Owens came from behind and pushed Sin Cara off the ladder. So they both got wiped out. And Owens goes up for the belt. Sami stopped him. They do that thing where they hit each other repeatedly with awful sissy punches. Owens ends up thumbing Sami in the eye, so he falls off the ladder. Looks like Owen has the belt now. Sami pulls Owens off the ladder and suplexes him onto another ladder, and that just completely kills Owens. He's out forever. It's great. It looks like Sami's about to win. Crowd rejoices. Miz comes out of nowhere and dumps Sami off the ladder. Crowd boos hatefully. Then Miz climbs the top of the ladder, sits on it, slowly starts to take the belt off the hook. Zack Ryder comes out of nowhere, pushes Miz off the ladder, claims the IC title, becomes the new champion. And Ryder tearfully celebrated with his father after the match. Then Ryder's dad tried to put his hat on Zack, and Zack was not having any of that.
Aggressively throws it down.
Yes. While still smiling. But you know they had words after. This is actually a good match.
It was definitely fast-paced. Yeah, bodies everywhere. And I was like, is this just like the replacement for the Money in the Bank now? They did this last year, too.
Yep. I think they have one next year as well. Gotta have that ladder match. That's good shit,
everybody
pal.
on the show.
That is a good point. That's an easy way to get everybody on the show.
Yeah.
Well, let me get a Jericho AJ Styles video package. They became a team, which was called Y2AJ, after wrestling a match and finding mutual respect. Jericho eventually got jealous of Styles for being more popular and turned on the Phenomenal One. So now they're having a rematch at WrestleMania. So we have Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. Starts out with Styles being one step ahead of everything Jericho did. Jericho ended up getting control after catching Styles with a drop kick. Styles recovered, did his little bitch slap combo thing, leveling Jericho, and then does a running forearm while Jericho's sitting on his ass. Jericho countered a back to belly suplex attempt with a lion tamer. Styles is able to break the hold by getting to the ropes. Then they go back and forth some. Styles goes for a Pele kick. Jericho counters with another lion tamer. Styles reverses it with a calf crusher, and Jericho's able to counter it with a pin to break the hold. And Jericho goes for a Frankensteiner. Styles holds on, tries to do a Styles clash. Jericho escaped that, dumps Styles on the apron, and Styles goes for his phenomenal forearm. Jericho ducks, hits a code breaker. Styles kicks out. Jericho had a major NXT face after that. Like, they did a close up too. Like, oh, kicked out of a code breaker. Nobody's ever done that. And Jericho goes for a Styles clash to AJ. Styles escapes and face plants Jericho for a 2 count. Then he hits Jericho with the most complicated Styles clash ever. Like, he reversed a double arm backbreaker, turned it into a Frankensteiner, then turned it into a roll up, tried to pin Jericho with, and Jericho kicked out. So then he picked Jericho up and flipped him over for the Styles clash. And he just got a 2 count. It's like, damn. Jericho goes for a lion salt. Styles gets his knees up and hits a springboard 450 splash. Then he hits Jericho with a spine buster, goes for the phenomenal forearm. Jericho pushes the ref for no reason and then counters with a code breaker 1, 2, 3.
Surprising to me that Jericho won,
I thought so too.
but I enjoyed it. Not so much that they kicked out of the finishers. And I remember originally, I thought this was like a surprisingly good match because this was the time where Jericho wasn't really putting on good matches, I would say. But this one, surprisingly good.
It was just kind of there for me. I'm not a big fan of either one of them though.
It did help that I heard them say on commentary that this was a series of matches. And I remember during this time in Vince McMahon booking, they would face each other every week until WrestleMania and then face each other again. Not just them, just like anybody.
I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So there was a Total Divas commercial. Fuck that.
They teased a big announcement on the show too, which I think from memory, I believe this is where Nikki Bella retired. I remember just recently they said that she retired on Total Divas. So
Zack Ryder had an interview. He said this was the greatest moment of his life. All he wanted to do was hear his music played at WrestleMania, but now he's the Intercontinental Champion. Years ago, he saw Razor Ramon beat the piss out of Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania and took a picture of him holding his Intercontinental title with him. Well, he saw Razor in the back, so he's going to take a picture of him holding Ryder's Intercontinental title. And they didn't have any legends.
no embarrassing legend segment.
They went on strike. That's enough.
No Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
No damn.
In his gi.
No $1 Million Man.
Yeah.
New Day versus League of Nations. And that would be Alberto Del Rio, Rusev, and Sheamus. This is the infamous Bootios entrance for the New Day. They came out in a giant cereal box dressed as Super Saiyans with unicorn horns. Kofi also had pigtails. New Day gloat about coming out of the giant cereal box, and then they say New Day rocks. And this is also when Sheamus had his stupid mohawk.
Yeah,
I remember.
I guess before the bar.
Do you remember when he debuted with the stupid mohawk?
Yeah, and everybody was chanting, "You look stupid."
Yeah, it was the greatest. I remember they teased it for a couple weeks, and then he finally returned. He had that big dramatic entrance with I think his theme song changed.
Yeah, it's the one with the light now, where he yells out, "Fella."
They revealed his mohawk, gets in the ring, does his little thing, and then the crowd just chanted, "You look stupid." And you could just see how deflated he was. There's a whole lot of time and energy put into that.
It's like, people are going to like it.
I don't miss Woods playing the trombone during matches at all. I'm glad they stopped that. Del Rio did a stomp thing to Kofi on the floor. Looked like it hurt. Barrett hits Woods from the floor with a bull hammer. Sheamus followed up with a brogue kick, and that got the pin. 1, 2, 3. After the match, Barrett talked about how badass his new team is and how no 3 men in history can take them on. So out comes Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, and Stone Cold. New Day end up pulling Barrett out of the floor and jumping him. Then the Legends beat the shit out of the remaining 3 bad guys. Sheamus gets a mandible claw. Del Rio gets sweet chin music. Rusev gets stunned. Then New Day stop whipping on Barrett, toss him in the ring, and he eats everyone's finisher. Then New Day starts celebrating with the veterans. Michael starts twerking with Kofi. God. Foley starts spasming next to Big E, who was dancing. I don't know what Foley was doing. Woods gets Stone Cold to dance. and then he gets stunned. And then Stone Cold, Michaels, and Foley drank beer. So fuck you, current stars.
It was an entertaining segment.
I guess, but you have the tag team champions, and you have these other people vying for the tag team champions, and they're all getting their ass kicked by these geriatrics. They didn't even put up a struggle.
They didn't. And they just won, that being the League of Nations.
We get an Ambrose Lesnar hype video. So Ambrose picked a fight with Lesnar. And of course, Lesnar obliged and slammed Ambrose through a car windshield, sending him away in an ambulance. Then we see Lesnar and Heyman talking shit in the ring. Ambrose comes back in the ambulance. He's driving it. So he either stole it or murdered the EMTs, then turned the ambulance around and went back to the arena. Either way, he crawls back to the ring, confronts Lesnar. Lesnar steps over Ambrose. Well, he actually stepped on his face. Ambrose demands a no-holds-barred street fight. And Lesnar F5s Ambrose on the floor. Heyman says Lesnar accepts. Ambrose smiled. Then we see a montage of Ambrose provoking Lesnar and then getting his ass caved in. Ambrose is only able to survive one attack by keeping Brock out of the ring with a dildo or whatever it was. And yeah, at least they're not insulting our intelligence by trying to get us to believe that Ambrose can win.
Nope, this is I want to get my ass beat so bad you're going to respect me.
Yeah. I won't go down, Brock. So Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar. No holds barred street fight. Heyman did the announcing for Brock, of course. And Ambrose comes out, and it looks like I've turned on Joes versus pros. Like, Ambrose is the least athletic looking motherfucker I've ever seen. He's got the little wife beater with the jeans, no definition, no muscular percentage whatsoever. And then you got Brock Lesnar, who looks like a bear. He looks like Zangief.
Looks like the exact opposite.
Yeah. So yeah, Brock tosses Ambrose around with some German suplexes. Ambrose wears him out. No, he wears the kendo stick out on Brock. Brock tosses Ambrose around some more. He grabs the kendo stick and breaks it over his knee and suplexes Ambrose some more. Ambrose tries to grab another kendo stick. Brock shuts that down and suplexes Ambrose some more. Ambrose starts wailing on Brock with kicks and punches, backing him in the corner. Brock tosses Ambrose with another suplex. Then Brock drops the kendo stick in between them, invites Ambrose to come get it. Ambrose crawls, grabs the kendo stick. Brock stops him again, and Ambrose just uppercuts him in the dick. Then Ambrose starts beating the shit out of Brock with the kendo stick, hits a suicide's dive. Brock only sells the nut shot, though, which is kind of funny. Like, that's the only thing he sold. Like, everything else didn't hurt me at all. It was the nut shot. This is my only weakness. So Ambrose gets a chainsaw from under the ring, but the stupid fuck can't start it. Brock snatches Ambrose and hits a belly-to-belly suplex on the floor. Ambrose hits Lesnar with a laptop and a chair, then climbs the top rope with the chair, and Brock does the Kurt Angle thing where he pops up and snatches him on the top rope and does the belly-to-belly suplex. Ambrose sprays Lesnar with a fire extinguisher, then works him over with a chair again. He hits a top rope elbow on Lesnar with the chair for a 2 count. Ambrose goes to the floor again, starts tossing like every steel chair he can find in the ring. He tries to take Brock out with a chair. Brock ducks, hits a German suplex again, but Brock lands on the mountain of chairs that Ambrose threw in the ring. Brock tries to F5 Ambrose on the chairs. Ambrose fights out and counters with DDT, also on the chairs. He gets a very near fall. Then he goes out to the ring, gets a baseball bat wrapped in barbed wire. He starts kissing it for some reason. Then he swings at Brock. Yeah. He swings at Brock with the bat. Brock ducks. German suplexes Ambrose on the steel chairs, then delivers an F5 on the mountain of chairs. 1, 2, 3. Then Lesnar sprayed the fire extinguisher at Ambrose and tossed it in the ring when he was leaving. And then I'd like to think Brock went to the back and had his way with Renee Young, while Heyman just mocked her and laughed her in her face, while she just sobbed with the sheer brutality her body was going through, knowing Dean isn't coming. And even if he could, he couldn't stop Brock from doing what he wanted to do.
Okay. I didn't even think they were together at that point, were they?
I think so. It was fun watching Ambrose get tossed around. I thought he got too much offense in, though.
He did, but they made sense of it. It was more like counters when he got his offense. Like the nut shot really turned things around for him. And yeah, Brock, even at the end of the match, was still selling the nut shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was his one weakness. But yeah, you see Brock Lesnar, and it's like, man, too bad he can't be back on TV ever.
Right. This was the infamous match where Ambrose said that Lesnar was lazy. I guess Ambrose wanted it to be one of his stupid backyard death matches. And we see from AEW's numbers what happens when Dean Ambrose gets his ideas pushed through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Brock might be one of the best wrestlers of our lifetime.
He's definitely one of the most legit.
Oh, absolutely. Like, obviously not promo wise, but he's really, really good.
Yeah. And I just think about like how the mood changes when you hear that, whatever that is at the beginning of his song. that
Oh, yeah.
the mood changes. You stop what you're doing. It's like, oh shit, something serious is about to happen.
Well, it's just like the Undertaker gong.
Yeah, just something that invokes the mood change.
Well, after that, Ric Flair's backstage. He's teaching Zack Ryder how to woo. Zack Ryder just can't get it right. So Ziggler comes in just to woo and then twirl out of the scene. Flair hands Ryder a Snickers, which turns Ryder into Charlotte Flair. And this was before her face was carved up like sushi. Then she wooed. Then they wooed together. And then Flair said, "That's my girl," showing absolutely no concern that Zack Ryder transitioned into his youngest daughter right before his eyes.
Yeah.
Then we have the Hall of Fame ceremony. It was the Freebirds, which New Day ironically inducted them, which is funny because their pussies bleed every time Hogan gets mentioned, yet they're inducting the Confederate waving Freebirds. The Godfather was inducted by the APA. Bossman was inducted by Slick. Miss Jacqueline, inducted by the Dudley Boys. We had Stan the Lariat Hansen, who was inducted by Vader. Snoop Dogg, inducted by Cena. Some dyke lady got the Ultimate Warrior's Cancer Trophy. And then Sting was inducted by Ric Flair. And Sting officially retired, never to wrestle again.
Yep. His very final match ever. Never see Sting wrestle again. So soak that moment in.
So disappointing.
That he retired there.
Just the whole WWE thing. Like, I can see why he came out of retirement. I wouldn't want to leave on that note either.
Well, it seems like they just got him there so he can do the Hall of Fame thing. Let's get you in one match. You go ahead and lose to Triple H, and then
Well, no. What happened was he wrestled Triple H, and then he wrestled Seth Rollins and got his neck broken. He took that buckle
oh, the
bomb.
buckle bomb.
Yeah. And he's so old at that time that it didn't make any sense. That, and he's like, okay, I see the writing on the wall here.
It's like Barry Sanders. I'm just gonna retire.
Yeah. All those years of the what if, and you finally get it in your grasp and just fumble it.
Yeah.
So Lita presented the first ever women's WWE championship. Yay. And then we had a girls match.
So it was Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks. And I knew you were gonna watch it, which is why I evoked a non-watch later. But yeah, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is before the man, before Big Time Bex. She's like the last kicker, so she's dressed really Irish. It was a pretty fast-paced match between them. They did do a good job. I'll give them that. Sasha Banks, she was wrapped to the ring by her cousin Snoop Dogg. Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair, they made their way to the ring. It's important to say that Ric Flair was there because he plays into the finish. And Sasha Banks was wearing Eddie Guerrero inspired gear. That's important. And basically, the ending of the match was Charlotte Flair. She puts Becky Lynch in the figure eight. Sasha Banks is trying to get back in the ring to break it up, and Ric Flair is holding Sasha Banks' leg so she can't break up the submission. Becky Lynch taps out. Charlotte Flair's your new women's champion. And also to note, Flair took a bump in a women's match because, what would it be a Ric Flair moment without him taking a bump in some way?
Did he bleed?
He didn't bleed. That would have been funny if he was bleeding. A match is not even in.
With the red hair.
Yeah.
Well, after that, we had an Undertaker Shane hype video. Shane's back. He's going to beat up the Undertaker despite Vince or something. I really couldn't be bothered to care to pay enough attention to the backstory.
So the backstory is Vince McMahon had a little appreciation night thing that was hosted by Stephanie McMahon. And then that night, Shane McMahon, he came back to the WWE after his absence. This was after he had actually left the WWE. He got a monster salvation. So monsters, they were like, okay, let's bring Shane back for a match. And he is wanting to take control. I think they linked it to like Game of Thrones, but Shane McMahon, he came back and he's like, I'm here to take what's mine, my birthright. And that is taking over the WWE. Vince McMahon, he's like, all right, You want to take over the WWE? All you have to do is win one match. And that match is going to be against my greatest creation, the Undertaker, inside Hell in a Cell. So that's the setup. Shane McMahon must beat the Undertaker to take over WWE.
You got all that from the hype video?
Yeah.
Damn, where the fuck was I?
And then, even in the hype video, which I thought was really funny, so they had this little hype video, and at one point there was a clip of Vince saying, "Undertaker's my bitch." He also added a stipulation that if Undertaker does not beat Shane McMahon, then this will be his last WrestleMania because he will be retired. If Shane McMahon wins, he gets control of WWE, which then they later said it was actually just control of Monday Night Raw.
I do know this was the debut of Shane McMahon's infamous shitty MMA rabbit punches.
Oh, yeah. Which is funny because we learned in the Vince McMahon documentary that he wanted to actually buy at the UFC.
Well, thank you for that. I apparently had a series of small strokes when I watched that hype video. Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker, Hell in a Cell. Like you said, if Shane wins, he gains control of Monday Night Raw. If Undertaker loses, he can no longer compete at WrestleMania. So Undertaker beats the shit out of Shane. Somehow Shane keeps trying to fight back. Undertaker hits a snake eyes and an apron leg drop, then hits a last ride clean. Shane kicks out. Okay. Then Shane locks Taker in a Hell's Gate. Taker chokeslams Shane on steel steps. Shane kicks out of that too.
You know, for a second, I thought when he was in that Hell's Gate, I thought he was about to power out of it, like pick Undertaker up into a powerbomb like that.
Oh my God.
I thought it was about to happen. It's like, there's no way, right?
Under normal circumstances, you'd be right. Undertaker misses an elbow drop on the steel steps, then Shane DDTs Undertaker on the steps. Then Shane Shamrock counters a Hell's Gate into a sharpshooter and hits a coast to coast. Taker kicks out at 2. Shane gets a pair of bolt cutters so he can loosen up part of the cell wall so Undertaker can ram him through it. Then he tries to tombstone Shane through an announce table. Shane counters into a rear naked chokehold, because of course. Then Undertaker sacrifices his own body, jumps through the table with Shane on his back, and Super Shane clobbers Undertaker with a toolbox. Taker falls on another announce desk. Shane tries an elbow drop to take her through the announce desk off the top of the cell. And there's a moment where Shane kind of stops and he's like, fuck, this is really high. As Shane jumps off the cell, Undertaker moves out of the way at the last second, and Shane just explodes through the desk. Shane gets to his knees and he just come on to Undertaker. And Undertaker picks Shane up, takes him back to the ring, and tombstones him after sharing come ons 1, 2, 3, which was really stupid. Like, come on, Shane. Come on. That's the theme of this fucking match. Come on.
Shane put up a hell of a fight.
I don't understand why.
Well, because he wanted to take over the company.
Yeah, but it's Shane McMahon.
His kids were there.
And then the Undertaker's 30-minute war with the buzzsaw Shane McMahon's finally over. Shane stretchered out of the match, and he gave a thumbs up because he's a badass.
And as Undertaker was leaving, he smiled as he saw his destruction.
Took Undertaker 30 minutes to beat Shane in Hell in the Cell after hitting a last ride and a tombstone within the first 5 minutes.
Like I said, Shane McMahon was fighting for the betterment of WWE. He was giving it all he had.
So the cell phone company CEO comes back into the WWE, gets in the ring with one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and takes one of the greatest wrestlers of all time 30 minutes to beat this guy.
And he's also doing the MMA training, Shane McMahon.
So is CM Punk.
Well, he didn't use it.
I just call bullshit.
Okay.
You can't tell me Shane McMahon's going to kick out of a last ride. And then the next person that loses to one last ride is a big pussy. Think about it. If they were to have a SmackDown match after this WrestleMania between The Undertaker and Mark Henry loses to one last ride, how does that make Mark Henry look?
Well, I think this was back when The Undertaker was doing it as a setup move.
That doesn't matter.
Things happen at WrestleMania. Adrenaline. And his kids were there. He's fighting for the company.
Bullshit. It's because it was Shane McMahon.
Yes. On my side, I thought it was definitely one of those matches that you remember. Shane McMahon climbing that cage, looking down at The Undertaker, taking all night. Undertaker moving and crashing through the table. And that's what I said. last week, Shane McMahon does things that ain't no one today's gonna be doing. Like, I don't know anybody who's flying through a table from 20 feet in the air today.
No, they probably like use a crash pad or something. Oh yeah, Bray Wyatt did it to LA Knight.
Oh yeah, that big ass pillow thing that was there.
Yeah, he didn't even hit him.
Fair enough.
Well, I thought it was trash. All this did was diminish Undertaker's legacy. But I'm glad you liked it.
Me too.
So we had a 20-man Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I take it this is the
And
one you
this,
skipped.
yes.
Okay.
When Shaq music hit, I said, okay.
Yes, Kane, Mark Henry, DDP, Big Show, and Shaq got entrances. Fuck everybody else. Big Show and Shaq cleared the ring. Then Fandango and Damian Sandow took turns getting eliminated by Big Show and Shaq. Big Show and Shaq had a choke slam stalemate. Then everyone else came back in the ring and eliminated the Giants. Baron Corbin won by last eliminating Kane in the most anticlimactic way possible. JBL said, "What a future that young man has."
Yeah, such future is not even with the company anymore.
Then the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders came out to dance. Then out comes The Rock. Rock announced WrestleMania attendance record was broken, which was 101,763. Then the Wyatts come out. Wyatt says this is his moment, not The Rock's. He's going to eviscerate him on the grandest stage of them all. Rock completely mocks all of the Wyatts. Says one of them's inbred. Wyatt says Rock doesn't know who he's fooling with. Rock asks for a match. Out of everybody in Dallas, Texas, Bray chooses Eric Rowan to face The Rock. Bell rings. Rock hits a rock bottom 1, 2, 3. After the match, the Wyatts make like they're going to attack The Rock. Out comes John Cena. The Wyatts just get their asses kicked. And Cena and The Rock get their signature moves in.
This is not good for the Wyatts.
No.
And then The Rock completely eviscerated them.
Yes.
Like, everything about it was bad for them. The Rock's saying, it looks like your parents are definitely related. There was a moment he told Bray Wyatt, he's like, oh, The Rock knows who you are. You're the eater of worlds. But, you know, from my point of view, it looks like you're the eater of Hot Pockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, man.
And then Wyatt had that, you don't know who you're fooling with, friend, which is a good line, but he didn't follow through with it. And that's why the fans ended up turning on him. Not even turning on him, just, okay, he's out to lose again.
It's just like a wrestling thing. When you're bad, you lose a lot because, you got to send the fans home happy.
Well, that's the thing. The bad guys are supposed to win until, like, the big blow-off.
Yes.
Like any movie, the bad guy wins throughout the movie. He always gets the upper hand, is one step ahead of the good guy until at the very end, where the good guy finally triumphs.
Yeah. Think of the movie Bloodsport, which is weird that I went to that movie of all. But
well, up next, we get a Roman Triple H hype video. Roman's still trying to be a pure baby face. Triple H offered him a spot with the Authority. Roman speared Triple H, and Triple H ended up entering the Royal Rumble, dumping Roman out, and winning the WWE title. You see, Reigns was forced to defend the title during the Royal Rumble, and he entered in at number 1. I think that's because he wouldn't be a part of the Authority. Play ball.
Yeah.
And then Triple H's title reign was exactly how you'd expect. At this stage of his career, he was completely dominating. And then Roman Reigns and Triple H battle back and forth until they face off at WrestleMania. So Roman Reigns versus Triple H, WWE title. We cut to a video of an animated humanoids with their mouths sealed shut. Then Stephanie appears. She's sitting on the throne with a skull mask. She said some shit about them being the ultimate authority and how unworthy we are of their direction or something. Then Triple H comes out. He's flanked by dudes in skull masks. Each of them have a WWE title on their shoulder. I wonder if they represented Triple H's title reigns.
I don't remember how many there were, but it could have been.
Yeah. And yeah, they're still trying really hard with Roman. Crowd hates him a lot. He had a cool little moment with his entrance, though, when he kneeled into the star.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they start filling each other out. They did a spot where Triple H dumped Roman out of the ring. The Royal Rumble spot. It's like, and Triple H tries to invite him back in the ring. Triple H ends up losing his shit. He gets in Roman's face. They go back and forth. Crowd booed Roman some more. Roman hits Triple H with a drive-by. Stephanie distracts the ref so Triple H can hit him in the dick. Triple H will get to keep his title if he's DQ'd, so I don't know why he would ask for her to distract the referee. Just get the disqualification. Go home. Triple H follows up the nut shot with a couple inverted atomic drops, which I thought was great. Then he hits a spine buster, dumps Roman out of the ring after a near fall. They beat the shit out of each other around the Spanish announce desk. Triple H ends up hitting Roman with a running, swinging neck breaker, and it yanked him off the desk. Roman catches Triple H with a right hook as he's coming off the top rope, levels him with a Samoan drop. They fight out to the floor after Triple H escapes a Superman punch. Roman spears him through the barricade, then drags him back to the ring to beat the 10 count. He gears up for another Superman punch. Triple H catches him with an armbar. Roman crawls to the ropes, breaks the armbar. Instead of letting go, Triple H drags Roman to the middle of the ring, and he kind of does a Rings of Saturn plus Butch's little finger bang thing. Then Roman ends up powering out. They go back and forth some more. Triple H gets another armbar. Roman ends up turning it into a sit-down powerbomb. Triple H locks in another armbar and gets powerbombed again. Reigns goes for a spear. Triple H counters it and goes for a pedigree, which Roman back body drops him out of the ring. Then Reigns catches Triple H getting back in the ring with a spear. Stephanie pulls the ref out of the ring to delay the count. And after Triple H kicks out, Stephanie and the ref start arguing. Eventually, Stephanie gets in the ring so she can obviously get into position. And then Roman goes for a spear to Triple H, who moves out of the way. And then Roman ends up spearing Stephanie instead. Triple H hits Roman with a pedigree while he's distracted. Roman kicks out. They trade punches some more. Roman catches Triple H with a Superman punch. Triple H levels him with a knee. And Triple H eventually asks a semi-conscious Stephanie for a sledgehammer from under the ring, which was kind of funny because she was like, oh no, it looked like she was dead and only her arm was moving.
Yeah, she just reached up there and gave it to him.
So Triple H goes after Roman with a sledgehammer, but he gets Superman punched twice and then speared 1, 2, 3. And then Roman celebrated with the title, and a shit ton of fireworks went off, and the crowd booed and booed. They were not happy.
Yep, this is the Reject Roman era.
I remember this being one of the most predictable times in WrestleMania history. I remember as soon as Triple H won that title, I'm like, it's just for Roman.
Yeah, he wasn't believable that he was going to have a long run.
Well, Triple H thought he could get Roman over. Well, The Rock couldn't do it. Everybody else couldn't do it. I can do it. It didn't really work out.
No, send your next person. Who else you got to try to get Roman over?
As far as the match, it wasn't that bad. Roman's a little less corny.
Yeah, I wasn't that into the match, from being honest.
Yeah.
It got me in towards the end, but I guess it started slow, would be the best way to put it.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. Well, the Raw after WrestleMania began with Vince McMahon dismissing the crowd as crazy and bragging how no one had a hold on him since he received the lockbox. I guess he received a lockbox after Shane McMahon lost or something. I don't know. Well, Shane McMahon interrupted for a handshake with Vince, then thanked the fans. Jealous of Shane supposedly upstaging him with strong fan support, Vince allowed Shane to run Raw that night, as Vince, thinking that Shane would produce a disaster, wanted to show the world how ridiculous it would be. Shane was then allowed to continue controlling Raw until the next payback, due to the overwhelming fan support the WWE Universe showed on social media. The commentators described the crowd as booing those they should cheer and cheering those they should boo. Cue the new World Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns, repeatedly and heavily booed. He declared that he was now the guy and ready for title contenders. 4 men answered the challenge, and that was Chris Jericho, AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn. They all brawled, ultimately leaving Jericho in the ring where Reigns attacked him. Shane McMahon then arranged a fatal 4-way match between the 4 to determine the number 1 contender. Where after Owens attacked Zayn backstage with a powerbomb through a table, Zayn was unable to compete, so Shane replaced him with a returning Cesaro, which didn't matter because Styles ended up winning the match and became the number 1 contender. And 2 weeks later, a match between Zayn and Owens was scheduled for Payback. Zack Ryder's reign as the new Intercontinental Champion just lasted 1 day. On the post-WrestleMania Raw, Ryder was goaded into defending his title against The Miz. During the match, Ryder's father was slapped by The Miz's wife, Maurice. This distraction cost Ryder the match and the title. A championship rematch took place the following SmackDown, where Miz again retained. So thanks for playing, Zach.
I do remember that moment. Basically, they just gave him his moment on WrestleMania. Then
that's it.
Yep.
Baron Corbin, Apollo Crews, Enzo Amore, and Colin Cassidy made their Raw debuts. Corbin fought Dolph Ziggler to a double countout, then laid Ziggler out post-match. Meanwhile, Crews defeated Tyler Breeze. Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy debuted by confronting the Dudley Boys, who had just defeated the Usos at WrestleMania. And a match between Ziggler and Corbin was later scheduled for Payback. The New Day defended the Tag Team Championships against the League of Nations, Sheamus and King Barrett. The New Day retained after Kingston gained the pinfall over Barrett. Incensed by the loss, the group turned on Barrett, labeling him the weakest link, but were subsequently attacked by the Wyatt family. And God knows what happened to that feud. On a later episode of Raw, Shane McMahon announced a tag team tournament to decide on number one contenders for the New Day's WWE Tag Team Championships. The Dudley Boys advanced by defeating the Lucha Dragons, which was Sin Cara and Kalisto. The Usos defeated the Social Outcasts to advance. The Social Outcasts were Curtis Axel and Heath Slater. And after the match, the Usos were attacked by the returning Luke Gallows and debuting Carl Anderson, who are recognized as two members of the Bullet Club in Japan.
The Good Brothers.
It was reported that post-WrestleMania, Roman Reigns became more reactive against hostile crowds when a camera wasn't there to capture it. This included yelling back and swearing at the vocal ringsiders. This contrasted with Cena's laugh and smile at people who would boo him approach. Reigns was again booed at the next pay-per-view, Payback, where he won the main event. As soon as the broadcasting event stopped, Reigns reportedly turned on the crowd, yelling angrily and probably telling him to suck his dick. Meanwhile, WWE continued to try to hide the hostile reaction to Reigns. They edited fan sign for a photo on WWE.com. They removed a quote that said, "Roman Reigns bores." That's really sensitive shit. I can't even say he bores you. Well, WrestleMania 32 was the last WrestleMania to occur before the reintroduction of the brand split, which again split the roster between Raw and SmackDown. As such, another World Championship was introduced, the WWE Universal Championship.
Good for that.
And our next WrestleMania is WrestleMania 33, which is in Orlando, Florida. Our main event is Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker. No holds barred. Before that, we have WCW Road Wild, 1998. Takes place at the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally in Sturgis, South Dakota. Also featured a mini concert by Travis Tritt after the wrestling matches. I don't know if it's going to be featured or not. But, we saw Puff Daddy and all the other concerts, so I don't think Travis Tritt would be too bad at this point.
I'd be lying if I said I knew who that was.
He's a country singer.
There you go.
The main event was a tag team match in which Diamond Dallas Page and the former host of The Tonight Show, Jay Leno, faced the leader of NWO Hollywood, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, and Eric Bischoff. That'll be exciting. On the undercard, the NWO held an invitational battle royal in which 4 members of NWO Hollywood, 4 members of NWO Wolfpack, and Goldberg participated. Then we have Ming versus the Barbarian. I plan to see gouging. Saturn versus Canyon versus Raven. Raven's rules match. And then Chavo Guerrero Jr. has a rematch with Stevie Ray. That's for the WCW TV title.
I guess just the Road Wild, Hog Wild pay-per-views are just on paper doesn't sound good.
Pretty sure they're infamously bad, though.
Yeah, just those pay-per-views don't seem to be the best.
Well, they're in a venue where the backdrop is a motorcycle rally where I can't imagine too many motorcycle people give a shit about wrestling.
Yeah, and those stupid, when they rev the motorcycle engines and they just sound bad.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But hopefully it'll be short. Maybe Jay Leno and Eric Bischoff's matchup will distract us from the motorcycle revving.
I'm sure they won't be revving it at that point.
They'll be revving away.
I was going to ask, are we in Vince Russo land now?
No, he comes in 99, I believe.
Oh, because it's just weird that we've taken this turn to just celebrities wrestling in main events.
I think this is Eric Bischoff getting desperate.
Okay.